Hi, I'm Ben Mankiewicz. Welcome to TCM, where we're in the middle of a double feature of movies that helped shape the culture. We just had Flower Drum Song from 1961. Up next, a film whose legacy cannot really be questioned. From 1967, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? Joining me now, film writer and historian, frequent guest on TCM, Donald Bogle. Donald, great to see you.
Great to see you, Ben.
I said the legacy of this movie can't be questioned, but perhaps I should let you tell us what is the legacy of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner?
Well, I think with Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, the Poitier hero, this is an important film, and it was a great success, and it was Oscar nominated for Best Picture of 1967. It didn't win, but another Poitier film did win, In the Heat of the Night. But this story of interracial love, it's really an idealized story. And he's a very idealized hero. And as Stanley Kramer, the director, and as William Rose, the screenwriter, they wanted to create a Black man who was perfect in all respects, except for the audience to think about his race. And so how would this family reject him? So it wants to attack bigotry, and other Poitier films had done that. And it wants to forecast a happy future for the country racially if people will just come together. It's that sort of simplistic, but this film was breaking ground. Hollywood.
Let me jump in for a quick sec, because I first of all, you put a great idea into my head, so I have two questions for you. The first one is that there is as people will see in the film who haven't seen it, as the parents, Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn, these liberal parents who raised this naively colorblind child, they recognize that there are significant hardships ahead for the couple should they go through with the marriage, and including if they ever have children, and what the lives of those interracial children born in the late 1960s in America will be like. So I get it. It's definitely oversimplified, but it's not entirely Pollyanna-ish about the nature of this interracial romance.
No, but as far as an interracial couple on screen, Hollywood had touched on interracial romance in films, but they didn't have necessarily a real interracial cast. And I'm thinking of the movie Pinky from '49, where there is a romance for the young Black woman played by Jean Crane, a white actress. And 10 years before Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, there had been Island in the Sun. And in that, you did have interracial casting. You had Harry Belafonte with Joan Fontaine. They didn't let him get very close to her at all. And you had Dorothy Dandridge with John Justin, where there's something of a sense of intimacy. But the movie still had a lot of concessions. And here, I think they're concessions, but here in the casting and what they're willing to do is saying something else. You have Sidney Poitier, who people know, and the audience has already come to respect him, but he's in another kind of role now. And what you're saying is absolutely right about the pitfalls, possibly, of a marriage are not ignored. But where the film then has an impact, as safe as it is, I mean, for some people it still may not be, it is saying that such a union can happen, and it's saying that in essence in the film it should happen. And as you know, Ben, the Supreme Court decision in 1967.
Yeah, the decision in Loving versus Virginia that overturned anti-miscegenation laws and allowed interracial marriage across the country. That decision came in June of 1967. The movie didn't come out till December, but that line about marriage being illegal in a number of states stayed in the picture.
Yeah. And also with this, the production code, that when it was strictly enforced in 1934, there was a whole thing about miscegenation could not be depicted on screen and so forth. By now, the production code, it's really lost whatever force it had. And so it is depicted now. And it's depicted, there's a to-do about it, but for other reasons in it. So the movie does, it is breaking ground in that way. I think with African Americans seeing it, a certain generation liked seeing the parents of Poitier brought into this. That too is the idea of things coming together and coming together at a very explosive time in American social, racial, political history.
All right, Donald, as always, great stuff. Interesting conversation. And Donald and I will return and talk more after the film. But first, here it is. From director Stanley Kramer and Columbia Pictures in 1967, Sidney Poitier, Katharine Hepburn, and Spencer Tracy in his final film role. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? Welcome back. I'm Ben Mankiewicz, joined once again by film historian and writer Donald Bogle. Donald, nice to see you.
Great to see you, Ben.
So we just saw Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? Very powerful speech from Spencer Tracy. At the end, it feels very neat and tidy. I'm sure you feel that way as well. But it is also a nice swan song for quite arguably the greatest actor of the studio era, Spencer Tracy. It's his final moment on screen, and he is, he's wonderful.
Yeah, and he died not long afterward. And the film was Oscar nominated. And I also think with people seeing Tracy and Hepburn, this great screen couple, and representing an old Hollywood welcoming in a new chapter in Hollywood history, where you have this tremendous Black actor, a great actor, but also a very successful actor. And this was the year, it was a banner year for Sidney Poitier. He had 3 huge hits. He had this film, In the Heat of the Night, and he had To Sir with Love. So the film, in a way, operates on that level too, and understanding that Hollywood movies have changed, and no matter what happens, the change is there.
So there are a couple things that I wanted to ask you about specifically. 2 things. One, the movie goes out of its way to make a point that they haven't slept together, right? Which definitely seemed a concession to safety. But they're very affectionate as they walk through the airport. Very affectionate. They didn't feel like they had to hide the fact that they were a couple. They behaved very much like people in love.
They make a point of Catherine Houghton saying that she wanted to have sex, but he didn't. And so they, it's any ideas or threats, reasonable or unreasonable, about black male sexuality, those threats are neutralized with this.
I knew you would mention, I wrote down sex and threat. Like I knew those were the questions I wanted to get to. And so you mentioned threat. And they make it point that he didn't want to have sex. So it's telling white audiences, don't worry, this is, there's racism baked into that. This is not one of the black guys you have to be afraid of, is what they're saying. But I thought it was interesting because there didn't seem really to be a reason for it in the movie. That brief moment when they get to the house, and there's the maid played by Isabel Sanford, and there's the maid who helps her out like on weekends, Dorothy. And she's very provocative. He works at her and he makes a joke about her. He lusts after her in the way a man in a movie would. And I thought, well, okay, that's a little moment of letting you know at a bare minimum that he is a sexual creature, which I would imagine they would have been afraid of. Is that fair or no?
Yes, but it's, there's something else about that. As long as he keeps his sexuality and directed at his own.
Right, but we know that this is the woman he wants. So they're asking us to do some transference. I mean, it just feels like they felt like I got to get away with something to establish that he's not neutered.
Catherine Houghton said, because I interviewed her at TCM Festival a few years ago, and she said that there was another scene that she felt defined her character more and this relationship. And they shot the scene, and she had wanted it, and they shot it, but it was left on the cutting room floor.
Well, Donald, let me say this to you. If I hadn't become friends with you over the years talking about these movies on TCM, I don't even know that I would have made the note about that scene where he lusts a little bit. And I thought, this is like, it's so complicated. And you've raised my awareness, and I think the awareness of a lot of our viewers to all these things. So thanks for your contributions as always.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And as I said, it's always great to talk to you, and you always open doors that I think should be opened. So thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for saying that, Donald. Donald and I are done for the night, but of course the movies continue uninterrupted and commercial free here on TCM. Coming up next, Jacqueline Stewart has Silent Sunday Night. Stay with us.